Welcome to Go Think About, the podcast where we keep it real, keep it human, and keep it honest. I'm Crystal Hunt, author, health psychologist, and most importantly, your resident curator of ideas worth exploring and experiments worth trying. Before we dive into today's episode, I'm going to ask you for one small favor that is completely free. Please hit the follow button in whatever app you're listening to the show. It'll help you stay on top of when new episodes are released, and it'll help me stay motivated to keep on creating, knowing that you are out there listening. Thanks for doing that. Today we're going to pick up where we left off last week. I hope you had some time to go think about the sign I shared in last week's episode. In case you missed that one, the sign says, "Stay alive and enjoy the ride." Sounds simple, doesn't it? But wrapped up in those 6 words is a whole world of mental, physical, social, emotional, and financial health and well-being. And if we're being honest, and we are, because around here we're all about keeping it real, that's a whole lot of impact for one short phrase. And for anyone who has ever struggled with any of those areas, which I personally believe is everyone, we know that saying, "stay alive and enjoy the ride," is a whole lot easier than actually living it. It's been a time of some pretty big changes in my life lately. I switched business and creative tracks from having both feet firmly planted in the writing and publishing world to stepping back into the health and wellness arena. I've launched a new website, podcast, and weekly-ish email, which you can check out at gothinkabout.com if you're curious. And I've also been tackling some health stuff, which has necessitated some pretty big changes to my habits and patterns, and that has rippled out into pretty much every aspect of my life. And one thing that keeps bubbling up on a daily basis is that it's really easy to get stuck if you're aiming for perfect. Stuck looks like different things for different people, or in different contexts. Do you have some area in your life where you're feeling a little stuck right now? Like you're spinning your wheels and you just can't quite take that next step forward? I was talking to a good friend recently who's been struggling with that same thing. And we agreed to do an experiment where for a week we put our good enough goggles firmly on our faces to see if that could maybe help us get unstuck. What would happen if we operated on the principle that 80% of the way to whatever our brains were telling us was ready or perfect or right was good enough, and we just did the thing? What if we invited a friend over for tea, knowing that our place was only going to be 80% tidy? What if we went for a walk, even if we could only go for 5 or 10 or 15 minutes instead of the optimal 20 to 25? What if we shared that painting or episode or photograph or article or collage or birdhouse or muffin or plant or sweater, whatever it is that you're making, instead of keeping it all to ourselves because it isn't perfect yet? What if we talked to the person we always meet on our walk, even if we didn't know exactly the right thing to say? What if we skipped the labor-intensive process of sorting through old photos and organizing them, and just put them safely in a box so they no longer sit in the corner of the room, making us feel bad every time we think we should take the time to sort them by year and label them? Done is better than perfect. I'm going to say that one again so it really sinks in. Done is better than perfect. And it keeps us from getting stuck in a cycle, because if you're a smart human, which of course you are because you're listening to this podcast, then we can always find something that could be different or better or just, well, more than what we have already done. Plus, not taking the next step, not risking actually making a change or setting something adrift out into the world where people can experience or interact with us or comment on what we've done can feel safer, less risky. But without the risk, you also don't get the benefit of completing that cycle and moving on, whether it's to the next episode or the next painting or planting the next packet of seeds or enjoying a deepened friendship with the person you let into your 80% tidy space. I had a really funny moment the other day. I've been learning to crochet, and dishcloths so far are what I've really been rocking. So the first few were not awesome. The things are crooked and not square, and the edges are weird, and I didn't quite know how to finish them. And I had a friend over, and after like 15 or 20, I got pretty decent at it, and they're straight and square, and the rows are beautiful. And I had a little stack of them on the counter, and a friend was over, and I said, "Oh, hey, do you want a dishcloth?" But she picked it up and she's like, "It's too perfect." She's like, "I want the not square one." She's like, "I want the one that's like a little bit wonky and I can tell that you made it." And I was like, okay. And it really did shift some things in my brain that was the one she really wanted, because it was the humanity in it that really spoke to her. So that was a really fun moment. Done opens new doors. Perfect isn't the point. The sharing is the point. The connection is the point. Freedom is the point. Getting unstuck so you can move and grow and change is the point. Okay, I can hear the objections coming down the airwaves. The voices are loud and clear because they live in my head too. Set out to do less than my best? No way, no way. Quality is critical. Never share anything that isn't perfect. What if they don't like it? What if they don't like me? What if people think I'm lazy or didn't try hard enough? What if I do it wrong? Now, to be clear, I'm not advocating for rushing through something, doing a half-assed job, and then dumping junk things or experiences into this world that we all share. But take a second to really think about something you've been thinking about or working on or considering, but not actually doing. Maybe it's the thing that popped to mind earlier when I asked if there was any area you've been feeling stuck in lately. When you think about that thing, what does done or ready look like when you look at it with your good enough goggles firmly in place? Now ask yourself, will anyone else looking at it even know that other 20% exists? Hint, the answer to this is 99.99% of the time, no, they won't. They have no idea what your original vision was, or what it could be, or could have been. And if I'm still feeling stuck after I picture that 80% completion and realize that I'm already there, well, then it's time to ask yourself the hard question. What am I really afraid of? Stalling on asking that friend for tea because you don't think your space is ready? Well, maybe what you're really afraid of is that they'll say no to your invitation, and not asking feels safer. But do you really want to stay stuck, wondering forever, and miss out on the future opportunity for someone to say yes when you find the right person? Or maybe you're afraid they'll judge your taste or your space or your tea-making abilities, or you're worried about really having a deeper conversation one-on-one with them in case the perfect vision you have about how it will go doesn't match the reality. Spoiler alert, it won't. But if you don't expect it to, you've removed the disappointment in advance. You are braver than you think, and I think you can do the thing. So let's wrap up today's episode in a way that gives you something to go think about until next week. What is the something you're feeling stuck on right now? Think about that for a second. Okay, now put your good enough goggles firmly in place. Can you see what 80% of the way looks like for that thing you're feeling stuck on? Okay, now, are you already there? Are you actually already at that 80% of the way to done? If yes, great. Go share it. If not, what is the next step that you need to take? Okay, Now you're going to go take it. And if you're still spinning your wheels or you have a list of excuses running through your mind now, your mission is clear. What you need to go think about is, what are you really afraid of? Thanks for listening to Go Think About with Crystal Hunt, that's me, where we keep it real, keep it human, and keep it honest. And if you like really powerful questions, make sure you head over to gothinkabout.com and sign up to get the occasional great question sent right to your inbox for you to go think about in between these podcast episodes.